walking into her. Hey, girl. Hey. Happy Monday, guys. Welcome back to another episode of Sip with Joy. And this is if this is your first time joining, this is Sip with Joy, a show about a girl. I don't know why I'm so tongue tied today. A show about a girl, her wine, and her feelings. And I am that girl. I am your host, Joy M. Hutton, serial entrepreneur and lover of food and wine. And you guys know how it goes. Today I'm drinking a rosé aperitif. Now, this can be served alone, but I recommend to serve it as a spritzer because it is a little bitter, but it's fruity. And you know where to find out about this on at Sip with Joy on Instagram, where I tell you about the sip of the day. So I'll tell you more about this. But yeah, it's a good summer drink. So I'm gonna go ahead and take my sip, and we'll get started. Hey, Tiffany. Yeah, I cut mine with a little ginger ale because yeah, it's a little bit in the Aperol Spritz family. So yeah, I'm glad to be back with you guys today. And today's episode is called Boy Sober. So if you all have not heard about this term, because you know they come up with a term for everything, it is when somebody decides to embark upon an intentional dating cleanse. Some people equate it to just celibacy alone, but other sources I've seen just say it's a dating cleanse. So abstaining from all aspects of dating, which is a good segue into celibacy, which I said. And then on the opposite end of that, I'm going to talk about, is there such thing as having too much sex in a relationship? So let's get into it. Hello, the King's Table. Thank you. Hey, Robin. Yeah, boy sober. Yeah, interesting term. You know, they got something for everything now. Hey, Elsie. So, yeah. So, like I said, boy sober is basically taking a break from dating, but I had an episode a while ago about all these dating terms, and it's just something for everything. So this just means, no talking, no sex, no hookups, no situationships, no entanglements, no dating apps. And, it can be very tempting to go back into the dating pool because, you might be bored. You don't want to be alone. A blast from the past might contact you. It's always when you're trying to take a break from the dating pool that a blast from the past comes back. Or you may need a distraction. But I think it's important to remember why you go on this journey in the first place, why you decide to be boy sober. And someone put in my comments earlier too, girl sober. Yeah, it could be girl sober too. Men need a break too. Women who date women need a break, whatever. It's a universal thing. People just need a break from the shenanigans out here, okay? So when you think about why you may need, to be boy sober in the first place, you need to maybe reset from the toxic dating pool. I always see people say it's pee in the dating pool, and it is. It's a little toxic out here. It is real ghetto out here. This modern day dating culture is not for me, y'all. Um, Robin said, "Child." um, what else? You need to heal from your last relationship. You may need to figure out what you really want. You may want to break the cycle of unhealthy patterns. You need to be more intentional about the dating process. You need to get aligned with other aspects of your life before you let somebody else in. You may need to learn how to put yourself first and do what brings you joy, pun intended. And then you might be on a budget, maybe it's too expensive for you to date right now, and you are just like, I need to take a break, get my coins together before I can be out here dating folks. But I also think it's when dating is no longer a positive experience for you, then it's also time to take a break and then come back to the process when with an open mind and heart, but also you need to maintain your peace, and I have these conversations with friends all the time, just frustrated conversations about dating, But now I'm in a space where when a situation doesn't work out, I'm not crying. In about 24 hours, I'm good because I went into that situation. If it works, great. If it doesn't work, then, moving on. I can't let that stop me from the next person that may be a blessing for me. So I think that, my conversations are definitely different, and how I move on from situations are different too. But I also give myself a break in between each situation or whatever, because it is a lot, and when you keep going through the same thing over and over again, like I tell my friends, I'm like, listen, I'm going to record the things that I say to people and just press play. Just press play. Oh, yeah, you said you were going to do that? Okay, I'm just going to press the play button, because it just seems so redundant. And I think with boys sober, people are just getting tired. Not getting tired. They are tired about just going through the same cycle of dating, and then it's not really going anywhere. And, I say this too. I really think the pandemic made things worse for people. Like, people's social skills are shot. People, if they went through the pandemic with someone, they were married, they got divorced, or they were in a relationship, broke up, and so they like, I'm outside. Or if you were during the pandemic by yourself, you like, I'm outside. And then you have people who lost someone and they're like, I'm outside, YOLO. I only have one life to live, and I'm going to live this one life. And relationships are seen like work, they're seen like imprisonment. And I don't know why it has to be that way, because I feel like a relationship is what you make it, and it doesn't have to be seen as something that's restrictive and like you're in prison. It is what you make it. And even like with the dating apps, I I just, y'all, I tried it, and I think I've shared some of my experiences with you all, but the dating apps are toxic as well. And I feel like the dating apps have become like a lookbook for people. It's not really and people do have success stories. I ain't one of them. But I think that people use it as a modern day lookbook. And so it's just like, yeah, I may match with you, but that doesn't mean I want to have a conversation with you or actually get to know you. And I ran into this guy. He was on Hinge, he was on Bumble, and then he found me on Instagram. And I'm like, you know what, this really, but we exchanged numbers, and you really not trying to have a conversation with me. And we had never met in person. And then we finally met each other in person. And he was like, oh, well, now that I see you in person, let's start over. No. Like, why didn't you have a conversation with me when you had the opportunity to on the app, when we exchanged phone numbers? I'm not doing this with you. And I said, well, why are you on the dating app in the first place? And he said, for convenience. And I'm like, convenience of what? Convenience to have the options at your fingertips. But if you're not really cultivating any connections, then how is it really convenience? So I haven't cracked the code yet, y'all. When I do, I'll let you know. But I don't think that's ever going to happen. But it's just crazy to me. And so, some people may ask, well, but what if you meet someone while you're boy sober? Well, if you meet someone, that means you ain't boy sober, because you let somebody in. Boy sober is not even allowing yourself to be open to that temptation. But if you do, if you have opened yourself up to that, I think it's just, making sure that that person is worth interrupting your peace, that solitude that you've built for yourself while you're going through that process. And, and they also should respect where you are in the process too, if you're not necessarily ready to go all in. So I think you have to have those conversations. And so, going back to the celibacy thing, some people, that's what boy sober is for them. Some people say boy sober is a year-long journey, but it's all in your time. Boy sober can mean 2 weeks for somebody, but it's you unplugging and taking time to realize what you need out of this space, whether that is healing, whether that is, self-discovery, whatever it is, the things that I had mentioned earlier, like, what do you need from this? Why do you need to do it? Or you just sick of people, and you need a break. So, But I think with the celibacy thing, that is also a part of just emotionally detaching yourself from that aspect of dating, because when you have sex with someone, the reality is that it does change the dynamics of a relationship. And some people, it means nothing, but some people, you like, listen, our souls tied together, we go together. And, we had sex and that's it. So you just have to be careful when you cross that line. And so some people who are even dating have decided to abstain, and a lot more people are doing that now. And I think, that's definitely a conversation you need to have with whoever up front, so they're not surprised when you like, nah, I ain't doing it. So, but yeah, in any case, you have to be clear about the boundaries that you set for yourself. And same as when you're in a relationship. So I had a conversation with someone not long ago, and they were saying, I want a partner. I want to have sex every day. And I'm like, is that realistic though? Are people really out here having sex every day? And hey, maybe there are, but I think it's thinking about talking to your partner. What are your expectations in the sex life? Are you expecting sex every day? What are the bedroom rules and etiquette? What's your libido hitting for? Because I know over 40 for women, it's really different. That libido be sky high, and do you really have an emotional connection? Because I really have to have an emotional connection with you for me to be having sex with you every day. Like that's just not, even if the libido is high. And shoot, I'm a working woman, okay? Listen, folks be tired. But you also have to evaluate satisfaction over quantity, because if you having bad sex every day, sorry to you, because that is not happening out here. So yeah, before I go on, if anybody wants to call and talk about this topic, you know the number. I don't know if y'all can see that. I'm wearing 713-396-0277. 713-396-0277. If you guys have comments on this and in the chat, let me know what you're thinking about this topic as well. But like I said, I think the root of it is people have just gotten to a point where they're just tired, and they do not have it in them. And someone put in the comments earlier that they've been boy sober for a year and they are the happiest that they've ever been. And I know for me, every time I take a step back and decide to kind of be in my own space, just reflect, whatever it is a moment for me to just kind of go through that healing process, go through the self-discovery process if necessary, and it's great, and that's why I think for me, like, I don't respond the same way that I do if something doesn't work out. I'm like, okay, well, it didn't work out, so that's what it's gonna be. So again, 713-396-0277 if you want to talk about this topic, and let me know what y'all thinking in the chat too. But yeah, so in the meantime, because this is gonna be a short episode, y'all, if y'all don't call, okay? Because y'all hear my voice going all the way. I got it back, and then I started losing it again over the weekend. So the what the sip is Jordan Childs being stripped of her bronze medal. It was a lot going on in Paris during the Olympics, and I'm just like, this is real ghetto in Paris, and I love Paris. So I don't know what was happening, but it left a bad taste in people's mouth in Paris. But anyway, shout out to Naquan Lewis. She actually contributed to an article. Naquan Lewis is a therapist out of Houston. I want to have her on the show at some point. But she had contributed to an article about boys sober, and just kind of recapping again, just how do you know it's time to go boys sober is when you're feeling overwhelmed, when you're disconnected from your true self, when you are burnt out from dating, when you're ignoring internal validation and only seeking external, and you're involved in unhealthy relationships, but you want more. And Whitney Houston said, I'd rather be alone than unhappy. And I am of that frame of mind, because I'm not going to be in a situation that's not good for me. And I think that we have to look at the reasons why we want to be with someone. Is it a distraction from real life? You not wanting to face some things that's going on in your real life? Are you bored, like I was saying earlier? And I've just been through, I think when you keep going through the same thing over and over again, you you just get to that point where enough is enough. So there's a boy sober movement going on, and I saw someone that was like 25 talking about boy sober. I'm like, boy, girl, you 25. This is when dating is supposed to be fun. But that is the problem. Dating is no longer fun for people anymore because it's so toxic. And I was like, damn, if you're experiencing this at 25 and I'm experiencing this at 42, there is a real problem out here. I did not have problems when I was in my 20s. Dating was fun. I enjoyed the process. And I'm just like, wow, we really have a problem out here, because I would think, oh, you're young. I always tell my younger mentees or whatever, you're young. You have all this time. It should be fun. And they're like, no, these men are toxic. And I'm like, wow, this is crazy. So it's just not the same. I said I wish I met somebody before the pandemic when things were less toxic. I think it got more toxic after the pandemic. Um, Robin said, that's it. Dating is no longer fun. Absolutely. King's Table, boy sober, although it seems to be self-care, OMG, it also seems to be a lonely road. It can be. But there's a difference between being lonely and being alone. Like, obviously, no one wants to be single for their entire life. But I think, I was saying in a previous episode from this book calling, and the one she said, it's not about finding a needle in a haystack. It is about making yourself magnetic enough to attract that needle. And so that's changed my whole mindset on dating, because you get stressed and you're overwhelmed about this dating process, and you think, ooh, I met this person. This is going to be it. Like I tell my parents, I don't even tell my parents anymore about people I'm dating, because then 2 weeks later, they're gone, and they're like, what happened? I was like, don't even ask. Just I tell them for safety reasons, but don't ask me after that. I'll update you when necessary. But it definitely can be a lonely road. Elsie said, I don't feel bad now. I guess it was because I'm older, but young women are having the same problems. Absolutely, they are having the same problems. And it's sad because, again, it says something about the dating culture. And I think a lot of people are seeking independence too, but I feel like if you're in the right relationship, your independence doesn't have to be stripped away from you. Like I said earlier, it doesn't have to be seen as imprisonment, and yeah, it's different, y'all. It's really different out here. And I've talked about just kind of things I faced in my dating, and it's just, people act like they're so serious, and then you have one disagreement and they're gone. It's like people don't have conflict resolution skills. It's different. But to know that 20-something-year-olds are experiencing that is pretty disheartening. And I'm like, wow, what are we doing here? Elsie said, do you think people are more selfish now and out for themselves and not willing to share or communicate? Absolutely. And I mentioned earlier, I think it's because I think a lot of that is attributed to the pandemic. Like, think about it. We were in a house by ourselves. Well, I was, me and my dog. But, and so when you lost people or you broke up or whatever, I think people are more selfish. And selfish can be good and bad. Selfish can lean more into the self-care, and then selfish can just be, I don't want to deal with anybody, period. But it also comes at the expense of others, because then it's like you treat people like trash. It's like, oh, you served your purpose and I'm done with you. And absolutely, the communication skills are not the same. I just remember being in my 20s. I was like, dang, I should have got married. I should have got married then. But it was like I wasn't ready. You weren't. You can't force anything. But I just felt like the pursuit was there. I don't know. I guess, when you're in your 20s, you're not having really deep conversations. But I felt like when I started getting towards my 30s, I was having more serious conversations with people. But now it's like, it's just enough. Like, I heard this man say something about it was called the 90-day rule or something. Like, the man just keep fluctuating enough to just get you off his back. You say something like, well, you're not calling enough, then he calls you, then 2 weeks later it falls off. You're not doing this enough, and then he does that thing and then falls off just enough to get you where he wants you. And then once he's done, he's done. And again, I'm just using this male, female. It could be others that are in the same situation with the same sex. But it's just people just do just enough to get you right where they want you until they can move on to the next option. And a lot of people, I mean, I feel like men have more options, but then I have conversations with men. They're like, no, we don't. We have it just as bad as you. And it's debatable. So let's see. King's Table said dating sucks because of the lack of transparency or honesty. I feel say exactly what you're looking for day one. Time is short, and either we have similar desires or not. I agree. I agree. And he said, also don't settle, but be willing to compromise. Personally, I want partnership, not sponsorship. Ooh, I like that. Partnership, not sponsorship. But everybody doesn't think like that. And I've said that before too, like, be honest. I think that a lot of people tell you what you want to hear, and then it's like, look, tell me the truth. I may not like what you're saying, but if I don't, then move on to the next. Somebody will be okay with what you're offering. I don't have to accept it, but don't sell me wolf tickets and you know that you don't want what you want. And I think a part of that too, the boy sober, is getting in alignment with what really speaks to you, because we allow things into our life that we know we're going to be mad at the end. We know we're going to be kicking ourselves at the end, but we were doing it for the wrong reasons, getting in that situation for the wrong reasons. LC said, I'm not telling a man what or how to date at this big age. Right. I'd rather let you do what you want so I can see what you want. Ooh, yes. Okay, y'all. Y'all preaching in this chat today. Robin said, no one wants to put in the work for something meaningful. Absolutely. Yeah, it's just, be honest. And yeah, I'm not giving you an instruction booklet either on how to treat me. Like, we shouldn't have to do that. And I'm a big proponent of show me, not tell me either, because you could say all these wonderful things to me, but at the end of the day, show me. Okay? Show me. Okay, King's Table said, I totally agree with your last statement. However, help me understand. Several men will be completely honest with what they want up front, no games, and then you know what happens next. They are accused of love bombing. There's a difference between love bombing and being genuine. And I've talked about love bombing on here. So love bombing is when you have no intentions of being serious with that person. It is just like I mentioned, that 90-day scenario where you're doing just enough to get that person where you want, and then you're gone. Love bombing is coming on strong up front, and then you don't want anything else. It's coming on strong with the wrong intentions, if that makes sense. So coming on strong and you have genuine intentions, that's something completely different. If you know you have no good intentions and doing all this stuff up front, oh, I want this with you, buying gifts, doing all this stuff, and come here, do this, do that, and you have no good intentions, that is love bombing. Expressing how you feel to a person and there's genuine and sincere interest, that's not love bombing. But I think also too, you have to meet the person where they are. If they see it as love bombing, I mean, your actions will tell over time whether it's love bombing or not. The truth always comes out. Elsie said, maybe some men need to pace themselves. You can't do too much too soon. Yeah. And I definitely agree with that, because sometimes, like, I was saying this to somebody, I'm like, I have been in situations where men come on strong in the beginning and they don't carry it. they're not consistent with it because they didn't have good intentions from the beginning. It was the idea of being in this space or being in a relationship, whatever, but they had no intentions. They thought these were things I wanted to hear. And I don't know where that comes from either. Like, oh, I thought that's what you wanted to hear. No, I want to hear how you really feel. If you're not feeling that at that point, then don't tell me. So I think it's yeah, some people do a lot too soon, but I think you feel how you feel. But I think it's also, like I said, meeting that person where they are. And I don't think if someone is coming on too strong, it's automatically seen as love bombing. You're again, time will tell if that person is sincere or not, or whether they just blowing smoke up your ass. Time always tells, because you can have week one versus 6 months later. If that person is still treating you the same or saying the same things, then maybe it's not love bombing. So I think you just have to just see where you are. King's Table. Sometimes men are damned if they do, damned if they don't. If we take you to Steak 48, Beverly Hills Cheesecake Factory, we're not doing enough. Oh God. What? So I no. Again, what are the intentions behind that? Because then some people feel like if they take you to Steak 48, then you feel like a woman should sleep with you. Hell, some people feel like they take you to cheesecake. They feel like you should sleep with them. So I think it's about intentions. What are the intentions behind what you're doing? Because if there aren't any good intentions, then yeah, it is love bombing, or it's just, I'm just doing this to get in your drawers. Like, what are the intentions? And I think at the end of the day, what people, I'm not just going to say women, but I think it is women, because we don't lead with physical. Men lead with physical. We really want a man to get to know us. Like, I think the love bombing comes up because it comes on so strong, and that person doesn't even know you. It's like, really, you want to do all this, but you don't even know me. So I think it's that where women's spidey senses go up, because they're like, well, he's doing this and doing that. He don't even know me. And then, are you going to actually take the time to get to know me, or is this very surface level? So those are the things you have to consider as well. So yeah, it ain't about the dinner plate, because that's all nice. But I'd rather somebody meet me at the park and we have a real conversation than worried about where somebody took me to dinner, because it's about really getting to know me at the end of the day. That's what it is for me. So, okay. So King Sable said, if I am spending money, it's because I want your company and your time. I am not paying for sex. That will come when and if it's supposed to come. Okay. Yeah, look, if you pay for sex, that's prostitution. So, and I mean, we've had conversations about this on the show. Like, when did that become a thing? Like, it's like a man spending his money should not be equal to access to a woman's body. Like, it just gets very, I think people overcomplicate it, and I think there just has to be adult conversations about what you really want at the beginning. Well, not everything you want. You got to ease into certain things, because you can't put all your cards on the table. But Elsie said, if someone is saying I love you on date one, I would think he wants something. Right. King's Table, boom, the park. Okay, cool. Different than most, but refreshing. So, yeah, again, intentionality. I think people are fed up with the dating process, because you have women, not women, you have men bashing women for wanting to have some genuine conversations and not rush into sex. And kind of going back to like the sex conversation, like, that is something that you should have a conversation about, because it's people that really want to come over to your house after the first date. I don't know you. I'm not letting you into my house after a first date. Like, that's not happening. You are not getting in my bed after the first date. Like, it's craziness. The expectations. Yeah, and LC said, I'm back to pacing yourself, men and women. Absolutely. Both parties have to pace themselves. I don't know if you all remember when Bishop Davis was on here and he said, you go into these dinners and you looking at that person across the table of you and you planning your whole life. It's like, get to know the person first before you start planning your whole life and thinking about, because then you set yourself up for major disappointment when it doesn't work out. And you might be feeling that on the inside, but it's like, okay, baby steps. Take the time to get to know each other. So King's Table, super great topic today. Only if men and women really knew what each other truly wants. Well, I think people need to have a conversation about it. LC said, you don't even need to know where I live after date one. Absolutely. Yeah, because we're not doing that. Because people are real cray-cray out here. And you just can't be, you can't, it's not safe. It's not safe out here. So, yeah, I think, ooh, y'all, I got to take a drink on this note, okay? It is a lot. One day we're all going to have a conversation and maybe someone has cracked the code on this. Robin said people need to be open and honest and say what you want. Don't waste people's time. But when when are we going to get there? Because I always hear, like, there was a comment in the chat about women don't want men to be honest, but we do. it's I think, let me make the decision on how I feel. Let me process my emotions on what you've said to me. Don't make the decision for me about my feelings. If I don't like what you said, I don't like what you said, and we're not aligned. But what I found is men are afraid of the response. They are afraid of the rejection, and they don't want the response that we might give them if they told us the truth, because that might mean, well, we're done here. But that just might mean we're done here, and on to the next, because you can find someone else that's going to put up with the shenanigans. So I think that it's a toss-up. Like, everybody's not going to like where you are, what you want, what you're doing. It's just not going to happen. So Robin said, we definitely want honesty. They may not like the choice you make after that, but it's a choice on both parties. Absolutely. And we grown. Like LC, at my big age, why are we playing these games? Why? It's just, it is a choice that we make, but I don't like when people make decisions for me based on how they think I'm going to respond. Well, I didn't say this because, and it's like, and see, this is why I need to take a break. I mean, I'm telling you all, like, the dating apps, literally on these dating apps, matching with people, and they would not have conversations. Why are you on here? And they would be the ones in their profile. It would say long-term, looking for long-term monogamy, life partner. How? Your behavior does not say that you want a life partner. Your behavior does not say you want a long-term relationship, because you can't even have a conversation. Remember there was this one guy I had talked to. It was like 3 days before he asked for my number. Then 2 more days before he asked for my number. Then it was 2 days. We're texting on the phone. I'm like, dude, we could have stayed on the app and chatted. Like, what are we doing here? And he's like, oh, yeah, you're right. Okay, I'm going to give you a call. But why should I have to say that? We're grown. You asked for my phone number. Was it because you just wanted to see if I would give you the phone number? Or is it because you actually wanted to get to know me? I don't understand, y'all. Use your words. LC said, I feel like some men don't want to tell you how they feel because they don't want to lose out on the perks women are giving. Ooh, right. Of course. Why would you want to give up those perks? Why would you want to give up the perks? So, yeah, I just, communication skills, I think it was Elsie asking about the communication earlier. It's not the same. I remember days when I was dating in my 20s, I would be on the phone for hours with guys, hours. That rarely happens now. And I'm like, we should have more to talk about now. We're older, we got things to talk about. But again, I won't forget when that guy said, oh, it's about convenience. Convenience of what? If you're not actually cultivating a connection. But I think it's just having the options at your fingertips. But I don't want to have access to people on a dating app if I'm not actually meeting them and cultivating a real thing. So yeah, that didn't work for me. Needless to say, and I went dating app sober. Okay, I'm not doing it because I'm tired. Yeah. So it's just it can be exhausted. Elsie said, "You hang up." No, you hang up. Well, yes, the good old day falling asleep on the phone talking. Oh, I love it. It was just so pure. Now it's like you gonna call me. I'm not playing this game. She didn't call. She didn't text me. What are we doing here? Are we 12? Hell, I feel like it was better when you were 12 because then you were passing notes to each other. Love was just so pure. That 90s kind of love. I want that 90s kind of love. So, yeah. King's Table says, shit, the older you get, to hell with perks. I want my person with all their flaws. Well, everybody's not like that. But, I love this conversation. I think, but it speaks to people's level of frustration with the dating world. And it's, like I said, it's as young as 25, y'all. And that's crazy to me. Like this, I read this article and this girl was literally saying, I'm going boy sober until my 25th birthday. So she wasn't even 25. She was 24. Like, how are you having these dating woes at 24? It's supposed to be fun. And it's just not. I don't know who it's fun for, because even these high schoolers are out here crying their eyes out. So I don't know. I don't know. What is we gonna do? Next week is the season finale, guys, and I will have a guest on. We're going to talk about insecurities and narcissism, and she's a licensed therapist, so we're going to talk about that, close out this season, and yeah, so great topic, though. Yes, the internet did ruin us. Oh, girl, don't get me started. Social media. Social media has made things really tough, and people just sharing. I don't know where the toxicity is coming from. I don't know where the bashing of men and women is coming from, because even with this podcast, I'm not bashing men. I'm having conversations. I want to know both sides of things, because we need to figure this thing out, okay? Where's the love? I'm all about finding the love. Robin said, I agree. The internet has been a detriment to relationships. Absolutely. Social media, people getting caught up because they liking people's photos, they commenting. We've talked about that social media etiquette before. But it's just everything. People are just putting all their business out there. I don't like that. I'm a very private person. And so when I'm dating, first of all, most people ain't going to know about it. The only people who know about it are people I interact with in real life, not on social media. So it's just, people just put everything out there, airing their grievances and everything. And then we just have these opinions that are floating out there that are so just degrading to one another. And it's not just men bashing women doing the same thing, women bashing men too. Yeah, and real connections, absolutely. Like, that's the thing. And I'm telling you, I really think I really blame the pandemic. That's gonna be my response. It was Rona, okay? It was the Panorona that ruins everything for us, and people's social skills are shot. Like, I don't know. It's like, I'll be in a room, and it could be a bunch of Jews. They'll just stare at me. Are you waiting for me to come to you, sir? Because it's not happening. It's like, what? Where did people become so scary? But I also had this conversation with a friend. I said, you know what? We had the pandemic that had an impact on people's social skills. But you also had, like, Me Too. And so my friend was like, well, I think, like, men are scared. They're scared of being accused of harassment, assault, all these different things. And I'm like, no. So I think men are scared too. But at the same time, I want someone that is confident and is not going to be afraid to talk to me. He risking it all. He's going to risk it all to talk to me. So I think, I get it. There are definitely things that have made men afraid, because of all that has happened in the media. People, they don't want to catch a case. I get it. But we gotta we need I need to put a 90s playlist together or something. Just get people feel we need to get people feeling good about relationships and love again. It's like, where is the love? So yeah. King's Table said, date privately, date exclusively, and guard your business. Yes. LC said we are reverting back to grade kids, grade level kids. Is it grade level kids? Men scared to talk to you, just staring but talking. Right. They not even talking. They just staring. They not even talking, LC. They just staring at you. And then it's like, I've had situations where someone will ask for my number. You asked me for my number and then never called. What was the point? Again, is it to say that you just got my number? And then like another one of my guy friends told me, he was like, oh, it could be that he just wanted to get your number just to say he got it. Or is that he's managing multiple people? And there's that. And there's nothing wrong with that when you are in that exploratory phase, but you asked me for my number. Do the work, dude. So it's just, I told y'all it was ghetto out here. King Sable, just whack ass R&B that we have to listen to, period. Somebody go get Luther from heaven. Right. Elsie said he will hit you up when he bores. And that is exactly what happens. People come back around. Hey, how are you? What you doing? The hey big head text. No, that ship has sailed, boo. I don't go backwards. I don't go backwards. I am onward and upward. So, yeah, not doing that. But I appreciate you all's engagement tonight. This was so good. Season finale next week. And I'll see you guys then. Love y'all. Bye-bye.